Mike Panaki here with Network Protocol Specialist LLC, and it's time for another behind-the-scenes video from the Fluke Networks CCTT class. In this case, we're going to look at how we set launch and tail compensation for multimode fiber. So the first thing I've done is I've taken my OptiFiber Pro and I've inspected the multimode port on there. If the port needed to be cleaned, I cleaned it, inspected it again. Once that port's clean, I went ahead and inspected the end face on my launch fiber, made sure that was clean, connected that to the OptiFiber Pro port. Then I inspected the end faces on the other end of my launch fiber and on my tail fiber, and I connected those together. So now that my launch fiber is connected to the OTDR, my launch and tail are connected together, I'm going to come in here to my OptiFiber Pro, and I'm going to select the Auto OTDR test. Now I'm going to be testing OM3 fiber, so I've selected my fiber type of OM3 Multimode 50. Now, our limit is set to general fiber, and we're looking for a reflectance that is less than negative 35 dB. So for multimode, that's good reflectance for our connections. Before I go in and set compensation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on Edit. I'm going to make sure launch compensation is turned off. So at the very beginning, I want launch compensation turned off. I'll hit Save. I'll hit Use Selected. And now I'm going to run a test. So the first thing I'm looking for here is that my OTDR port quality is good. If it is not in the green, I need to go back, inspect that port, and retest. Because if that's not in the green, my test results are going to be invalid. I'm just wasting my time doing any testing. So in this case, here's my trace of that test. And I can see that my connection right here between my launch and tail fibers had a loss of 0.11 dB. Now the value I'm looking for multimode fiber is 0.15 or less. 0.11 is great. I could even come over and take a look at my table, and it's going to show me that our actual measured loss for that connection is 0.07, which is even better than what we're seeing for that event on the trace. So that is fantastic. I'm well within the range I want to be in. Also, when I look at my trace, I can see I don't see any significant loss events anywhere along my fiber right here. So that gives me a good indication that my launch and tail fibers are good. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back to my home screen. And so I will do that. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to hit Home on my tester, and I'm going to go into Set Compensation. So I know that my launch and tail are good. I feel good about setting compensation now. So I'll say Set Compensation. I'm going to be using launch plus tail. Now, some of the advantages of using launch plus tail are this allows me to measure the first connection of the fiber I'm testing, and it allows me to measure the last connection. If I can measure the first connection and the last connection, then I can do things like bidirectional averaging. And bidirectional averaging is going to become very important when we need to test fibers that have different backscatter coefficients in our launch fibers. So if you're getting gainers or big losses, testing from the other direction and doing bidirectional averaging can help clean up some of those results. So I'll select launch plus tail and I'll hit set. And it says, do I want to save that previous test? I don't have to save it. I could if I wanted to be able to prove that my launch and tail fibers were good. So I'm going to go ahead and say no. I'm doing my launch and tail compensation test. My port is still good. I could view the trace. That looks really good. So I can go back and I'll hit save. It shows me the length of my launch and tail fibers. I'll hit OK. Now, if I come back into my Auto OTDR test and I go to Edit, you'll notice that launch compensation is now turned on. So this now is going to take into account that we have a launch and a tail fiber. So I'm all ready to go in and start doing my testing. So again, make sure that port quality is good. It's in the green. If it isn't, stop. Before you go in and set launch and tail compensation, test your launch and tail fibers to make sure they're good and make sure that the connection between those fibers falls within that target range we're looking for. For multimode fiber, that's going to be 0.15 D. So I hope this helps. Be sure to check out our training classes at cctttraining.com. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the class. Shoot those my way, and we'll get you all set up and certified.